All right, I think we'll get started here. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the induction ceremony for the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2025. It's an honor to be here today for what is such a special day once again in the city of Syracuse. My name is Lucas Favalli, for those who don't know me, the broadcaster for the Syracuse Crunch. Hockey has had an extensive history in this city. Teams have come and gone. There have been plenty of wins and losses, but through all of it, it has been the people, players, executives, coaches, trainers, and staff that have made this game so successful in Central New York for decades. The Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame was established last year to honor those people who've made an impact on hockey in Syracuse, both on and off the ice, at the pro and amateur levels, as this city really has become a key place in the hockey landscape. The inaugural class featured Brian Elwell, Alan Taylor, Ed Kochin, who's here today, Howard Dolgan, who's also here, of course, and Scott Walker, striking a balance between those who made on-ice contributions with those who supported the growth of the game behind the scenes. Now, sadly, Hall of Famer Alan Taylor passed away on February 20th. Before we continue with today's ceremony, I'd like to ask that we just pause for a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. Today we honor 4 new members of the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame: George McPhee, Mike Angelidis, Zenon Konopka, and Gabriel Dumont. This class features 3 of the most impactful captains in Crunch history and an executive who played an instrumental role in bringing the AHL back to Syracuse in the 90s. Our first inductee today is George McPhee. Please direct your attention to the screen for our first video. Now I'd like to bring up Syracuse Hockey Hall of Famer Howard Dolgan to help introduce George McPhee.
Somewhere, Georgie. Well, thank you all for being here. This is a great Hall of Fame class, and I think the common thread is all 4 of these gentlemen are tremendous competitors. They're the highest of character, outstanding leaders on and off the ice. They're each tough as nails, and all of them had a significant impact on hockey here in Syracuse. We would very likely not be here if we're not for the belief and confidence of this man. I met George McPhee in the spring of 1993 and when we began a journey to bring the American Hockey League back to Syracuse. That began a cherished 33-year friendship. George took a chance on a market that had failed time and time again, and an ownership group that, while experienced in sports, had never run a sports franchise. The journey took a year, and George always encouraged me to be patient, and that wasn't always easy. Then one night in late April of 1994, While ironically watching a hockey game in Tampa, Florida, I got the call from George. And he said, "Get ready. We are coming to Syracuse." And here we are, 32 seasons later. While we will always be beholden for the belief that George McPhee had in us, George has enjoyed a tremendous hockey career. He captured the Hobie Baker Award as the most outstanding player in college hockey. He played 7 seasons in the NHL, establishing himself as probably the toughest pound-for-pound player in all of hockey. And if you don't believe me, just YouTube him. He began his managerial career after graduating from law school as an executive with the Vancouver Canucks in 1992, and a short time later, just 5 years, became the general manager of the Washington Capitals, a position that he would hold for 16 seasons. When the expansion Vegas Golden Knights was looking for a man to build their franchise from the scratch, they turned to George McPhee. He orchestrated an expansion draft which had never been done before, the likes of it. In season 1, the Vegas Golden Knights were a Stanley Cup finalist, and 5 years later, in only their 6th season in existence, he led them to the Stanley Cup. Since then, they have been perennial contenders under his guidance. George is an outstanding executive, but you know what? He's an even better person. And it's been my thrill and privilege and honor to have him in my life for 33 years. And it's my great privilege to induct my buddy, George McPhee, into the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame.
Come back for the plaque.
Thank you.
And you're going to stand right on the tape right there. Just face that way. Howard. I'll take that back from you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I am delighted to be here. It's been about 30 years since I was last here, and it's always wonderful to come back to Syracuse and see friendly faces, people that you like. So thank you for having me here. I thought it was 94, Howard. You said it was 93 when we first met. But that, it was the incomparable Howard Dolgan who I met. And we were able to strike a deal to bring a franchise to Syracuse, and what a great thing that was for the Syracuse community and for hockey. And as Howard said, I was a hockey guy. I was fortunate to play pro, got to law school, and then I jumped right into business in the front office with the Vancouver Canucks. But I didn't know a lot about business. I need a bit of water. I didn't know a lot about business, but I learned a lot about business after that from Howard and Vance. Excuse me. I learned from them, I watched them, and it all started with respect. Respect your partners, respect your clients, respect your staff. And respect leads to trust. Trust leads to loyalty. Loyalty leads to friendship. And I'm really proud to say that Howard and Vance are my friends, and I'm proud to say they've done an outstanding job here in Syracuse. Thank you very much for this honor. It means a lot.
Congrats to George McPhee. All right, next up is the very first Crunch captain during the team's affiliation with the Tampa Bay Lightning, Mike Angelidis. Once again, we'll direct your attention back to the screen.
At the far boards, jigs it down low. Angelidis wraparound try, he scores! The first goal of the game belongs to the Crunch and the captain.
And now let's welcome up Corey Konopka to introduce our second honoree and his former teammate, Mike Angelidis.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Just before I start, congratulations to the members of the Hall of Fame this year. I actually played with all three of the players, and I won a Spangler Cup with George, so I have a connection with all four. For those who don't know me, my name is Corey Konopka. When I first came to the AHL, it was actually with the Norfolk Admirals, and Mike was my first captain. I came into pro hockey with absolutely zero clue what it really meant to be a professional. Back then especially, there was a certain respect factor in the room. You earned your place, you respected the veterans, and I'll admit, I was a little bit of a shithead. Sorry, the language. A lot of you may know that from the way I played the game as well. And let me tell you, I couldn't have asked for a better first captain than Mike. I don't want to make this speech about me, but the truth is, the reason why I got the first opportunity to play in the NHL, a lot of credit goes to Mike and his leadership. He set the standard. The way he grabbed the attention of the locker room, the way he worked, whether he was on the first line, which I don't know if he was ever on the first line, or the fourth line, whether he played 10 minutes or 20 minutes, the way he prepared, the way he made sure the team was prepared. He knew exactly when to raise his voice in the dressing room or take a guy aside to get the best out of him. And he cared. He genuinely cared. There was times where he was more worried about my diabetes than I was. He wasn't just, looking out for shifts and systems. He was looking out for the people. What he did off the ice mattered just as much as well in the community with the fans, our biggest supporters, making sure we were all involved, making sure we were all connected. He was big on bringing the team together away from the rink to do dinners, special events. He understood that the culture isn't built during the games. It's built every single day. Mike is the definition of someone who puts the team first. It's no surprise that whether he was in Norfolk that first year I met him or here in Syracuse, if Mike was a part of the team and leading the culture, the team has always had a chance to win, and they had a chance to win it all. I'll never forget the day John Cooper came into the dressing room. I believe it was after practice in Norfolk. He told everyone to sit down, and I actually get emotional thinking about it, but after 350 or so odd AHL games, he told Mike he was getting called up to the NHL. And the way I felt, I still feel, I can still feel it to this day. That's what, when I think of Mike Angelidis, that's kind of the moment I think about. And first NHL game, he scores his first NHL goal, and that's obviously just from the way he prepares. I just remember how it felt, and just what he, his, of course he did. Of course he scored in his first NHL game. He's, because the way who he was, the way he prepared, he was patient, relentless, and ready when his moment came. I also want to acknowledge his wife, Lena, and now obviously his family as well. Behind every great captain is someone making just as many sacrifices. I know how important my wife was in my career, and I know how much our family's put up with in this game. So, Lena, you've been a leader in your own way and a huge part of Mike's journey. Mike, it's been such an honor to play under you, to learn from you, and to call you a teammate and a friend. I know it's an honor to stand here and welcome you, a true leader, a true professional, and someone who defines what it means to wear the jersey the right way, and welcome you into the Syracuse Crunch Hockey Hall of Fame. Congratulations, my captain.
Better be the right size, eh? Put on a couple
Fingers
of these. You're going to head over to the tape right there. Thanks, Mike. Congrats.
Well, the Honey Badger. What an honor to have him come to speak and introduce me. Corey, I was lucky enough to win a championship with Corey in his first year, and it was his coming in there with a couple of good young hockey players that allowed us to win a Calder Cup. Really, thank you for the kind words. Congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees. It's an honor to be mentioned with you guys and being inducted with amazing captains playing against Zenon and Dumont and the amazing hockey players and obviously an amazing general manager. First, I have to thank Jim, Vance, and Howard. What an amazing organization, first class. You guys have the heart of the city here. You guys have, you really are the backbone, and I've been lucky to play on 4 AHL teams, and this was the best place I've ever played. First class, treated the families first class, the city, the fans, everybody from front office, the doctors, the trainers, all of them. Amazing people. It was an honor to be a part of this community. My son's born here. I treated my son like he was royalty at the hospital. Just an amazing place to play. One of my greatest accomplishments in hockey was starting a fundraiser called Change for Change, and being part of a community, it leads into your teams, and so I'm super proud to be part of this community forever. It's a second home. I have a lot of friends and family here, so I appreciate it. My only regret in hockey was never bringing a Calder Cup to Syracuse and losing in the finals. That one has stung forever. I wish we could have done it. Next, I'd like to thank my wife and my kids for tolerating me playing hockey and following my dreams and supporting me. My mom and dad for putting me in hockey, putting those skates on me for the first time. I wouldn't have been able to experience such an amazing place and amazing people. My family, my sisters, my brothers, they've been to every city to watch me play, and a lot of travel, a lot of tears, a lot of injuries, and they've always been there to support me. Lastly, I love Syracuse, and I'm so proud and honored to be part of this. I never thought I'd be inducted into a Hall of Fame ever, but this is an honor and a privilege, and I'm so thankful that you guys picked me to be on the wall. So thank you, and congratulations to all you guys. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike. Welcome to the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame. Okay, our next inductee is Zenon Konopka, who put his stamp on the franchise during his time as captain. Once again, please direct your attention back to the screen. All right, I'd like to once again welcome up Syracuse Hockey Hall of Famer and Crunch owner Howard Dolgan to introduce Zenon Konopka.
Where's Z? This could be fun. Because we had many conversations over the year and a half. But calling Zenon Konopka an old school hockey player would be an understatement at the very least. But it would also be the greatest compliment. He was a captain who led by example. His passion for the game was infectious. He was a general who led his troops into battle with a purpose and a focus and a belief in each other. Quite frankly, he was the ultimate warrior. In less than 2 seasons with the Crunch, he helped build the culture that defines Syracuse Crunch hockey here to this day. Blue collar, tenacious, fearless. And no one was more fearless or feared by opponents than Z. In 2007-08, his first full season in Syracuse, he captained the Nasty Boys, a team opponents were, quite frankly, petrified to play. They didn't want to come here to Syracuse. But he also led the team to a 23-game home point streak to end the regular season. The old barn would be full during warm-ups because of the antics of the Nasty Boys. So with Z, I could tell stories. I would get a call every Monday, like clockwork, from the head of discipline of the American Hockey League, a guy named Jim Mill. And Jim would say, I love your captain. I love him. He can talk all he wants, but please, during warm-ups, ask him not to cross the red line. We know that's not what you're supposed to do. So either I'd see Z or I'd call him up. He'd say, yeah, I got it. No problem. Never do it again. Next Monday, same phone call. And this went on all season. I remember, and I've got to give stories, but I remember that team was so tough that we were playing Grand Rapids in an afternoon game, and I think we were up 7-1. There were 3 minutes left in the game, and Zenon skates to the Grand Rapids bench, and he's chatting with them. And all his friends know Zenon, he likes to talk a bit, right? And after the game, I go to the locker room. I said, what was that about? Game was over 7-1, where he said, I told him we have a little Russian player on the team who's never had a fight, so he's got to fight. Somebody has to fight him. So that was Zenon, always about it. But you talk about leadership. I remember we had a player that got sent down from Columbus named Duvie Westcott, a defenseman. And Vance and I were at the hotel having breakfast one morning, and Duvie was there. He was living in a hotel for the remainder of the season. And we started talking about Z. And Duvie, who had played college hockey, had played NHL hockey, a number of teams, and he said he never had a captain like Zenon Konopka on and off the ice. He said the leadership, he said we would do anything for this guy. And you talk about being tough. We played Philly one night, I remember, and Zenon got caught, an opponent's skate blade caught him behind his thigh and cut him pretty wide open. And our trainer at the time said, he's gone for 6 weeks. This was probably in, I think, February. We thought we had him lost in a regular season. And I called Zenon, how you feeling? I was concerned. He said, no, I'll be back next weekend. I'm like, there's no way. He was back next weekend. This guy fought with broken hands. He's had his nose broken a few times, as you could probably tell by looking at him. But the pain tolerance was, crazy. Zenon was undrafted, but managed to play 364 games in the NHL, which is remarkable, with 7 different organizations. Had nearly 1,100 penalty minutes, and I can assure you there were very few tripping or hooking calls in that number. I'll leave you with one last story. When Zenon was playing on Long Island, we actually had him over for Thanksgiving one night, and then sent him back with all the extra food because he was living in an apartment with another player. But he invited me to a charity event, and he put me at a table with a 19-year-old hockey player who was a very talented and coveted young player named John Tavares. It was a second season pro, and I sat with John, didn't know him, and all he could talk about during that charity event was how much Z meant to him as a mentor in that locker room. You know, this is a guy who, again, not drafted, fought for everything he earned and got the respect for a guy who's still playing at a high level, and that says a lot about him. He truly was one of a kind, and really that's what made him so special and beloved by this community, both on and off the ice. So it's really my pleasure, Z, to induct you into the Syracuse Hockey Hall of Fame.
Right on the tape there.
Thank you, Howard. You're right. I do like talking, but not about myself. Yeah, it's been amazing, and time flies. I grew up in Niagara-on-Lake, Canada, and at a young age, my parents sacrificed a lot for me to do everything I wanted to do, and my sisters. But early on, my dad was born in Poland, came here, played fastball, played a variety of sports, and winning was everything. Team first. Nothing else mattered, And I was lucky enough to win in minor hockey and win a Memorial Cup in Ottawa. And 2 years later, we didn't have a very good team in Ottawa. And that's where we started becoming physical and not just fighting, but hitting and intimidating. And we upset 4 teams and won the OHL championship and went back to the Memorial Cup. I go to Portland, and we lose in Game 7, double overtime in the semifinals against Hershey, and it was crushing. And I guess a year before that, I won the East Coast Hockey League in Boise as well. And it just ate at me the whole summer about not winning the Calder Cup. And then the next year, I ended up getting moved to Syracuse from Portland. We're first place, and they're on the bottom of the league, Syracuse. Building is not full. And we got traded for the 2 best players, and me and Curtis Glencross came. And, it wasn't anything about, I said, okay, well, we just got to find a way for these guys to win now. And you kind of use that as motivation. When things happen in life, you can go 2 ways. You can complain and sulk about it, or use that as motivation. So I remember the first game I played at this rink, and I went to the net, and there was a collision, and the defenseman grabbed my leg, and I pulled my leg out, and next thing I know, I'm thrown out of the game with a match penalty for kicking. Not the debut you wanted in Syracuse. So I went up into the crowd, and we're getting slaughtered on the ice, and they review the play, and I play the next night because there's no suspension because I didn't kick him. I was getting my leg out. So I fought in that game. I scored in that game. We played Hamilton, and Syracuse didn't win a lot of games at that point that season. And there was about 25 seconds left in the game, and there was a face-off in their end, and one of their wingers, who was a pretty tough guy, slashed my winger, right? So then I looked at him. I said, as soon as the puck drops, we're going to drop our gloves. And Ross Yates, who was coach, and I think he was supposed to do an induction, which would have been interesting to hear his side of the story. He changes, puts a centerman on for me. And it's in the far end, and I see the centerman coming, and I'm just waiting at the face-off dot. And I think it might have been Derek McKenzie. He goes, Z, you got to change this. I know. And slowly I come back to the bench, and I sit on the end of the bench, and Ross Yates comes over and says, "Z, what a game. Oh, my God, it was unbelievable. We won. You scored a goal that fight." And I said, "Never embarrass me again." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen, I'm here to switch the culture. If these guys want to fight in the first minute of the game, the last minute of the game, after the game, in warm-ups, it's going to happen." And he kind of stormed off. And I remember coming to the rink the next day and thinking, "Geez, how did I get myself in this situation again where almost, everyone talks about intensity and will to win, and there's a lot of positives with that in hockey and sports, but in life sometimes will get you in trouble, and sometimes you care too much." And so I get to the rink, and the assistant coach goes, "Ross wants to talk to you." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I want to talk to him too." And I sit down in his office. I said, "Coach," he goes, "No." I said, "Listen, nope." He goes, "I've been thinking, and we are on the bottom of the league, and you are here to switch the culture." So he goes, "That wasn't my type of game, but whatever you want to do, let's do it, right?" And lucky for me, I had a few associates that were pretty tough guys, and we started playing rough and tough, and as much as they showed the fights up there, I think have 26 goals one year and 20 the other year. Just maybe with my kids here, you could have put a couple of them on, but a couple games. So we win a couple games in a row, and Lindsey Kramer was the reporter, and he said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "If we can win 15 of the last 18 games, we can make the playoffs." And he starts laughing. He goes, "Win the playoffs? You guys haven't won 3 games all season, right?" And we ripped off 5 more, and we made one heck of a run at the end, and a little bit of bad luck in a couple games, and we just missed the playoffs. I ended up breaking my hand, and we talked to Doc about it, that I played with a broken hand till we were eliminated from playoff contention. Because I played, again, I had to put a plate in it. I wasn't ready for the next season. It's kind of the same thing happens. I don't play till end of November, and it was super frustrating, and we're on the bottom of the league again. But now we have 2 younger guys. So we have John Morasti, and we also have Tom Sestito and Derek Dorsett. And I remember going through the stat pack and looking at Sestito and Dorsett, and they had 260 minutes, 300 minutes, right? And they weren't really playing like that. And I went to them and said, "Well, you guys put up some pretty big PIMs in the the minors." They're like, "Oh, we don't know when to fight." And I said, "I'll tell you when to fight." And it was unbelievable. From the bottom of the league, we were undefeated in 23 games in a row, and we ended up losing Game 7 of the second round. And I mean, if we didn't have to play so much playoff hockey to get into the playoffs, I think we would have had a chance to finally bring the Calder Cup to Syracuse. But I just want to thank Howard, Ross Yates, Jim, Vance, for believing in me and trusting me. That all I wanted to do was win, and at the time, give anything in my life to win. And you guys helped nurture that, and I'm forever grateful. And now with my family, it's a new chapter, and winning is through my kids and loving them. So thanks very much.
Well, congrats, Zenon. It was a little disappointed I didn't see any Mohawks from anyone here today. The Mohawks were a big thing during that run that year, but all good. Great to see all that. Okay, we're up to our final inductee of the day here today, and our final one is the longest tenured captain in team history, Gabriel Dumont. So let's once again turn our attention back to the screen. Okay, here is Syracuse Crunch General Manager and Head Coach Joel Bouchard to introduce our next and final inductee today, Gabriel Dumont.
Wow. Congratulations, George, Mike, and Zenon. That's pretty awesome. I got some goosebumps. Remember those old AHL game and knowing you guys. So I feel pretty lucky when I was asked to introduce Gabriel. Give me an opportunity to see Stephanie and Matteo and Lucas, that they're growing up and they're going to be a hockey player himself, great athlete, and I know how strong that family is, so it's so nice to have you all back in Syracuse again. I know this guy for a long time because in another life I was, in junior, obviously, like a lot of us, we start, and I'm owner, general manager, and coach of a junior team, and obviously saw him grow in the Quebec League, and when Montreal drafted him in the 5th round, I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, he's a hockey player. And we all knew him from a little bit of the outside and knew him from the ice, obviously. And always kind of followed his career. Obviously, guys from Quebec, we always follow player and see what they're doing. And he made the NHL played some game with the Montreal Canadiens. Like, yeah, of course he did. He's a hockey player, right? And signed contract and play game with, Ottawa and Minnesota and Tampa, and all of a sudden he's in the American League, a captain, and you're like, yeah, for sure, he's a hockey player. So looking at his stats and everywhere he played, and it's just left his mark with being an assistant or a captain. And if you guys have a chance to go on the internet right now, you're going to realize that he's still playing in senior hockey, and he's killing it back home for the Predators, where he has 42 goals in 14 games. He's second in the league. He looks fit. I think he's got to twist my arm. So here's a story. I'm in Montreal. I'm not coaching for a year. Go back with my junior team, try to organize everything with the Armada, and I'm with Ben Grew, who's a personal friend, and Ben lives in my condo, so we have a beer next to the pool. The phone ring, and it's Julien, and obviously no Julien. And right away I hear Ben go, 100% for sure, yes, yeah, 2 years, no problem. And we hang up, and obviously I'm with Ben, and I'm sitting there, and I know it's Julien. He's like, it's for Doomy. We're gonna sign him 2 years. It's too important. We need him. He's good, and I love the guy, and he's and the guy that know Ben, he is passionate about it. So we fast forward a year later, and I come in to Syracuse, and I got to see is he as advertised as I think he is, and what I hear, right? So right away, I'm like, okay, not only is he a hockey player, but he shows up. And if you ask me, what do you like about Doomy when you coach him, he showed up. He made workout better. He made practice better. He made game better. He brought the temperature. And I always was in the dressing room, coaches, we always talk after practice. And Doomy was pretty unfortunate the last couple of years. He had some injuries, so he was kind of missing in the lineup. And when he got back, right away, practice went boom, right away. When he got back, game went boom, right away. Nothing to do with me. Players lead, coach try to help, but at the end of the day, they're the one getting it done on the ice with the stick. So every time Doomy was in practice, in a red jersey, that he was in the game, he brought it up. So first few game with Doomy, obviously he's a veteran. Don't need to say as much because he's controlling, the temperature of the team. And I was waiting for that moment where I always said, he's a hockey player. Made it to the NHL, played 912 games in the pro. Not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, but certainly a heart that will give you guys, chills sometime when you see how hard it is to play hockey and bring it to that level. So I always remember, this is my story about Doomy, and I'll end on that before I give him a chance to talk. But I'm behind the bench, and there's always a moment where a player can take stage and kind of own the moment, and you guys know what I'm talking about. And I always missed the Doomy stands when he goes for a face-off. For the one that hasn't done it, is that as a coach, it's pretty reassuring because he will go very low, and then you're like, this guy's not winning now. Like, he's not winning that face-off. So Doomy goes in his stands where it's like, it's like, us, we're winning this one. And then he gets up. Because one of the players from the other team was chirping up, one of our player, a younger player. So Doomy backs off, and the ref, he had the most respect from every ref. They never really said anything. He backs off. and he goes forward. And for people, all of us know hockey. When there's a face-off, it's pretty quiet. There's nobody, right? It's like quiet time. He backs off. He looks at him. He goes, me, you, right now. The guy, that's what I thought. And he went back to his position, and it just went like the other team went, poof, and we went, pow. And it's kind of the guy when you say, he showed up. It was a neutral zone face-off, middle of the first period, but he showed up in that moment for his teammate, for everybody. And that's my moment with Dumont. And I think that moment for everybody that's involved in hockey or watch hockey, notice like, okay, that's hard. That's commitment. Dumont, congratulations, man. You deserve it. Syracuse Crunch Hall of Fame, all yours, man. He looks like he lost weight too. What's going on here? This guy's retired. He's more fit.
Tape.
All right. Thank you, everyone. For those who know me, you would know that I'm not very good at speeches. So I'll keep this one short. It's a great honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame today, and especially with these guys. George, obviously everybody knows, is a great GM, built the franchise from the ground up, won the Stanley Cup. I didn't have the chance to play against Zenon, thank God. But as a hockey player, you knew who he was, and I played against Mike, and I can tell you there was nothing fun about it. We had a couple of chat once in a while when we played against each other. I think we might have fought one time even. Good times. No, I just want to say how proud I am to be part of the Hall of Fame here in Syracuse. It's a great honor, but nothing would have been possible without the help of the front office here. I think all the guys said it. It starts with Howard, Vance, and Jim, and all their staff. You guys care so much about this team that when you come here, you have no choice but to care. Every time you put on the sweater to go play a game, if you don't care, you kind of feel bad because you see these guys do everything they do every day for the franchise here. So I will never be able to thank you enough, guys, for all you did for me, for my family, for all the players. But thank you very much. And lastly, I want to thank my wife and my kids. Obviously, we went on a pretty big journey. You guys moved around, followed me, let me do my crazy things on the ice. Always said yes. Said we bring you to Iowa, Ottawa, Montreal, St. John's, Newfoundland. And they always said yes, so thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Well, congrats, Dumont, and congrats to all of our Hall of Famers tonight or today. That concludes, though, our ceremony here this afternoon. So let's have another round of applause for our four Hall of Famers. We look forward to recognizing all four of them once again, prior to the game tonight. So hope you're in your seats for our ceremony starting at 7 o'clock. You'll be able to see, you saw the plaques here, of course, and on the photos, but you'll be able to see them on the wall. The Hall of Fame wall, which is located on the Montgomery Street side on the second floor, so you can check it out after this. Our Hall of Famers are going to be heading down there for some photos after this and for some media availability as well. But that's it for us here today. Thanks so much, everybody.